All right, coming up next, we've got a guide for holes 4 through 6. Starting with hole number 4 here, we do end up with a favorable tailwind, so we're going to end up going right directly over the water and making a play to get onto the green with our drive. A couple different ways we can play this. The first way that I try right here is with the sand bump. If you're going to hit the sand first, you're going to want to use full top spin. The second bounce, you're going to want to get on the rough, and that'll slow it down before it goes onto the green. I didn't quite have enough top spin here, so if you're using something like the Thor's Hammer 5, that doesn't quite have enough top spin. On my main account, I have a Thor's Hammer 6, and I think that would be able to do it, but I wanted to show you the other way to play this with the rough bump using full overpower. For this shot, you do not want to use full top spin. I use 4 here. I think we can dial that back to 3, and that would be even better. Might even be on the green. So 3 top spin, full left spin. I think that's the way we're going to want to play this moving forward. So we go full overpower, just a little bit of left curl. We hit it great, but it's going to be okay anyway. And find the rough and roll up there for a wedge for an eagle on our second shot. Okay, hole number 5 here. For our drive, we're going to do a plus 10%. You're going to want to use a spin 3 ball here and get as much left and as much top as you can. I'm going with the Kingmaker here. So when you're setting up, what I like to do is to try and grate proof it. So by that I mean we're going to have the red ring cutting the rough there. So in case we hit it great left, it should still find the fairway and be able to find bounce over onto that second fairway. We adjust plus 10% for 8, so it's just under 5 rings here. We go full left curl, and we hit our drive perfect. So that's exactly what we want to do. We want to get as deep up onto that second fairway as possible so that we have a nice shot for an albatross with our second shot. You do want to use a longer wood here. I use a Cataclysm on both of my accounts because my Cataclysm 3 here on my junior account has the same amount of backspin actually as the Cataclysm 5. So if you see here, what you want to do basically is get up onto the back side of the green and have it roll back down for an albatross. You can also attempt a rough bump here. You're going to want to do a plus 10% adjustment again. So for my first attempt here, I tried to land it just shy of the green. I think what we want to do is land on the green actually, because this one's going to come up a little bit short. It's not going to have quite enough roll back down that hill to get back to the cup. So what you'll see here is it doesn't quite make it, but with the second shot, we're going to do the same thing, full backspin, just a little bit of right curl to compensate for the strong crosswind. But we're going to land our first shot on the green, and that's going to have enough to get the ball to roll back down that back slope of the green and get towards the cup. It doesn't quite go in, but that's the way we're going to want to do it. So maybe if I knock off this right curl, the slight right curl, I think that would have been the exact right play that we're going to do. So again, 10% adjustment, full backspin with your Cataclysm here, and you want to land your first bounce on the green and have it roll back towards the pin. All right, hole number 6 is our second par 3 of the tournament. 2 different ways to play this. I think this first one is going to be the one that I go with for the rest of the week. When you're setting up your target, you're going to want to use this back slope of the green to funnel back right down towards the cup. So when you're setting up, I set it up with the 5th ring cutting the rough right there. We do a plus 10% adjustment, but it's, as you can see, it's also a mid adjustment. So at 1-to-1, 1.1 to 1, sorry, you're going to end up adjusting exactly 1-to-1. So I go 7.8 rings, and I like I said, I try and use the back slope here. I hit it great right, and as you can see, it ends up being just right of the pin. So I think if I hit that perfect, it would be a really good chance for it to go into the cup. So when you see this back slope coming down here, it goes back to the right and then back to the left right at the end there towards the pin. So I think that's the way we're going to do it. Again, so playing it 1-to-1 adjustment and starting with your target with the 5th ring sitting there cutting the rough. The other way you can play this, if you prefer a rough bump, you can go ahead and try and do that. The target for the rough bump here is pretty narrow, so I don't think I'm going to do that. because it just seems like it's a little bit riskier of a shot, and I think we're going to have about the same opportunity to make an ace playing on the right as we would with a rough bump. It doesn't seem like there's really a big advantage to the rough bump here, although the wind does set up favorably for us to try and do that if you would prefer to use that method. So again, it's a 1-to-1 adjustment basically, because it's plus 10%, but downhill at the mid adjust, so 1.1 rings to 1, but plus 10%. So you end up going at about 1-to-1. And I barely just catch the rough, almost caught the sand, which would have put us in the rough there. So like I said, it's a little bit riskier.